Hey guys, this is Brendan with it. It's another edition of Bison Break. Super special edition for me because this is one of the folks y'all know y'all been rocking with me for a little bit. This is one of the folks I've been wanting to talk to for a little bit. We got Antoine Bethea, Pro Bowler, but more importantly, Howard University alum. You know what it is. You know what it was, man. Welcome to the show, man. It's definitely good to talk to you.
Nah, man. Appreciate you for having me, man. I'm excited to be up here.
Absolutely. So before we get into the kind of steak and potatoes of all this other stuff, this Bison Break, we want to put down the veil. We want folks to know you a little bit better. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions that got nothing to do. Well, got a little something to do with sports, but not necessarily in the way that you want. All right. So I read that you were a letterman in high school in basketball.
Yeah.
So one, what was your position? And then two, what's the NBA player you most emulated your game like, or what NBA player would you most associate with your style of game?
So I played the point. I ran the point in high school. And I would say at that time, I would have, if I had to say my game was similar to somebody's, I would say like a Jason Kidd, right?
Okay.
So, everybody, I think everybody be like, yo, I dropped 30 points, I dropped 20. Like, I was really like a facilitator, you know what I'm saying? So, getting the paint, get my players involved, score a couple buckets here and there. So, and that's what Jay Kidd was. He was the ultimate facilitator. As you kind of look in the game now, Chris Paul, things of that nature. So I'll say like a Jay Kidd.
See, that's interesting because, whenever I think of like guys that were football and basketball players, but mostly you could tell that their sport was football. Y'all were always just so much kind of like sudden athletic, and so I always thought of y'all like kind of the more brolic, like we're just gonna come up here and just wreck shop, just like kind of move folks out of the way. So the Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, like it's a little bit more finesse now. That's a little bit surprising to me. That's
So basketball was my first love growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like that was like as a kid growing up, it was like I could picture myself going to UNC, being a Tar Heel. I'm a Tar Heel fan, and going to the NBA. So that was my dream. You know what I'm saying? Like even at Howard, the football team, we had our intramural squad. We won it one year. I want to say it was either my sophomore year, junior year, we won it. So basketball has always been a thing.
Y'all was nice. I remember going up against the intramural squad when I was out. Y'all was nice. Y'all look physical for me. I was like, hey, relax. I got class in the morning. But no, I definitely appreciate that. Okay. So like, and I'm from North Carolina, so Tar Heels all day. So you see, I knew it was gonna be here. I knew it was gonna be here. All right. So take me back. You getting ready for a game. You can go college, you can go pro, whatever. You getting ready for a game. You throwing some music on. What are you listening to? Like, what's the joint that's gonna get you kind of in your mode real quick?
So again, man, like if we talk about times, I'll take you back to college, man. It was the Carter. It was the Carter. That's what it was. Lil Wayne, the Carter. But obviously, when I into the league, it was I always played Tupac, Dear Mama. It was kind of one of them things that I was. That every before every game I had to listen to that. I had some DMX in there. I had some Jay. I had some Beanie Siegel. And those were kind of my songs that kind of my artists I would say that would get me game ready.
That's real. I mean, yeah. I mean, you haven't missed yet. I mean, like, where did you go? Pop, DMX, Jay. I mean, like that's a lineup right there. Like, I see why you made multiple Pro Bowls. I see that. I should have asked you before this started. So my bad. Do you play spades? Have you ever played spades? Is that like?
Man, yeah. I always joke. I'm like, how can you if. Yeah, I play spades. I play spades. I'm like, man, because for me, it's like, going to an HBCU, that was kind of like one of the things. Like you had to know how to play spades. And it's crazy. Like I bump into people that went to HBCUs and be like, oh, nah, I don't know how to play spades. I'm like, well, you know.
What was you doing?
What was you doing?
What was you doing?
What was you doing? Yeah.
Fam, if it wasn't Spades, it was Madden. Like it was one of the two we was doing both. So I wanted to ask you, okay, because I've had this conversation a few times.
Yeah.
What is the big joker? Is it the guaranteed, or is it the larger picture joker on the card?
Guaranteed.
Okay. All right. I mean, we don't have to be best friends. I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's cool. I mean, you know, guaranteed. I mean, I think it's the larger joker, which is called the big joker. But we ain't gotta get that. I mean, it's fine. You know, that's cool.
That's a conversation. We'll probably talk about that an hour in. You know what I mean? But nah, I can get it. Like I can actually sit here and say I understand why you would think that. Why you would think that it is the bigger joker, but once it got guaranteed on top, it's like
that's real.
You know what I mean?
Well, so all right, so like tell me a little bit about your journey to get to Howard and make your decision to go to Howard in the first place.
Yeah, man. So you know, when I tell my story, man, people be like, "Man, that's wild, man." You know, I grew up in Newport News, Virginia, played basketball, played football. I went to Denby High School. And it kind of started, you know, the position that I played there. I was a middle linebacker, right? And I was small to play that position. You know, I was like 5'8", 5'9", 160, 165 pounds. But I loved to hit, right? So my defensive coordinator at the time, Tracy Harrod, he played at JMU. He was a monster. And he was like, look, you like to hit, you fast. I'm going to put you right here and you run to go get the ball. I was able to make plays out there. And when it got to that point where recruits were coming in, that was like, man, like he's small. He's definitely not gonna play middle linebacker on the college level. We haven't seen him really backpedal, play the DB position. We just don't know, right? So kind of got lost in the shuffle. I did get recruited by that many schools. You know, we had Norfolk State was in there. You know, some Fairfield State, some other small schools. And just so happened, Coach Petty, he was a defensive coordinator at Norfolk State at the time, and he was the one that was recruiting me there. He ended up getting a job at Howard University. He had a previous coaching stint at Howard University, and during that time, also on that coaching staff was my head football coach at Denby High School, Coach Cawthorn. Wow, okay. So Coach Petty came to Denby, asked Coach Cawthorn if he wanted the offensive coordinator job. He said, yeah. And then Coach Cawthorn was like, look, man, this guy, he can play. It was kind of late in the process. They didn't have a lot of scholarship money left. I went on my visit and I was sold, man. You know, Friday walking on the yard in April. Weather was good. You know what I mean?
I know what their Fridays like. That
Friday was crazy. They had the latex party. That's when they had it in Blackburn. That was crazy. That Saturday, the basketball team, they played Norfolk State. So just that whole atmosphere, the energy was crazy in the Burg. We went to the Ritz that night, and it was like that Sunday morning. I called Mom Dukes and was like, "Yo, like I gotta get here. I know they don't have a lot of money." So Mom was like, "Look, we'll try to make it work." So I ended up attending Howard my freshman year, a little bit slightly under like a partial scholarship. You know, I had to come out of pocket to pay for some things, but it was the best decision in my life.
So it was more of a like just kind of a fit. You felt like you fit in.
I felt at home, man. It was like, even from the guys that were hosting me on my recruiting trip, man, like to this day, like those are my guys, you know what I mean? And just the atmosphere, just, you know, sometimes you just walk in situations and you just know it's right. It's the right fit. And again, I walked on that yard, man. I remember like it was yesterday, man. I got goosebumps on my arms. Just seeing the people that look like me, you know what I'm saying? And then just the energy, you feel what I'm saying? So again, man, it was just a perfect fit. And then just, you know, Coach Petty, he was like, look, yeah, we don't have that much money, but if you do what you're supposed to do on the field and in the classroom, hey, next year when all these seniors leave, we'll bump you up to a full ride. And he helped, you know, he stood on his word, man. And, you know, again, man, I tell everybody to this day, man, if I could go back and replay that whole situation over again, I would do it.
So did you always know that you wanted to go to an HBCU in terms of higher education, or was this something that, like, as you were seeing fielding offers and trying to figure out where you fit, that was where you wanted to go?
I did know, at the end of the day, I did know that I wanted to go to college, right? That was one of the things. But my oldest brother, he went to Delaware State. So I got the experience there. And then in the, from the Tidewater area, we got a bunch of HBCUs around there: Norfolk State, Hampton, Virginia Union, Virginia State. You know what I mean? So again, I was very familiar with the whole HBCU culture. Growing up, we will always be on Hampton University campus, in high school. So I was very, very, very familiar with the culture. It was just as far as becoming a student athlete. At the end of the day, I didn't know. But the opportunity presented itself. And again, like I said, it was the best opportunity that I think that it was for me. It was for me.
At what point did you know during your collegiate career that you were like, yeah, I can play college, but then no, I might be able to play past this? Like, at what point were you like, this might be something that I can do professionally?
I would say my junior year. I'm not gonna sit in front and say, oh, my freshman year I knew. I would say my junior year. My freshman year, we had some dogs on our team: Tracy White, Serge Sajor, and we had some other guys, Ogden. So and seeing them go through the process, at that time, it was like, okay, if it's something that I do want to obtain, I know I can do it because these guys are doing it, right? My sophomore year, I go out on the field and I have a good year. I made all MEAC, Black College All-American. So I knew I had the ability to play at that level. It wasn't until my junior year when, we had Ron Bartell, who was a year older than me. He started going through the process, and the scouts started coming into the building. And the coaches were saying that, hey, they're asking about, who was number 2 on the film. So there, it kind of clicked for me and was like, okay, this is I have a real opportunity and a real chance to potentially play at the next level.
So take me through the draft process. And I'll have another question about this a little bit later, but like, kind of just take me, like, you get invited to the I'm trying to logistically you get invited to the combine, pro day, because all I know so far about it is, kind of the PWI experience of how guys go through and kind of get this. How does this go for the HBCU back when you were in undergrad?
Man, so just even before that, right? So during your senior year, or whenever you're eligible to go to the draft. So for 9 times out of 10 HBCU guys, we play our totality of 4 or 5 years in college, right? So for me, your senior year, you're playing and you have scouts come in. They come in weekly, right? And they come in, they want to meet you. They'll sit down, they'll watch some film with you, right? Some scouts, they'll come in and say, hey, I love your game. Some scouts will come in and sit down with you and say, hey, I don't think you can play in the league. I think, this is, you can work on this, or you can work on that. And that's a funny story because I had a scout. He was a scout for the Atlanta Falcons. He came in and sat down next to me and told me that, like, I don't think you can play at the next level. Crush me, right? I'm thinking, like, what? If he thinks that,
because you're 20 at this time, right? Like, you 20 years old at this time.
Yeah, I'm 20. Yeah, I'm 20, and I'm thinking that, okay, well, if this scout is saying that, the other teams must be thinking the same thing, right. So again, you go through your senior season, and after your senior season, you can, your eligibility is up, right? So you hire an agent. So it was that process, trying to hire an agent who's going to have your best interest at hand. I've never been through this. None of my family members have been through this. So this is like coming from left field, right? So you hire an agent, right? So then it's like you make that decision where it's like, okay, well, do I want to just drop everything and then just start preparing for the draft or preparing for the pro day or the combine or whatever the case may be? So I made a decision that I would hold off on my second semester and I'm gonna go and train. Like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I want to put all my eggs in this basket. Right. So, later on down the road, I'm not saying I wish I would have, right?
Was that a tough decision? Like, I mean, again, you were a young man at this point.
Nah. It wasn't, it was definitely a discussion that I had to have with my mom. My dad and my brother was like, look, mom, like he need to go do this. You know what I'm saying? Like he need to go somewhere focused where his sole focus is this. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a hard decision for me, but I obviously had to run that by the parentals. So again, man, I go off and I train. I got invited to a bowl game. It lasted 1 year, so you already know how that went, but again, it was still a place for me it was exposure, right? So at that time, it was D1 versus D1 AA. So we were able to play against the D1 talent, and the knock coming from an HBCU was the talent pool that you was playing against. Right. So for me, it was like, okay, if I can go up there and show my ability against D1, I can open up some eyes, right? So we did that. It was called the Magnolia Gridiron Classic. And then from there, you get to your combine invite. And that was huge for me. Because again, a lot of small school guys, they're not afforded that opportunity to go to the combine. So when I was able to get that invite, man, I'm like, man, that's the best thing for me, because now I can line up next to the guys at Ohio State, at Miami, and really show what I have, right? So again, I'm still going through the training process down there in Georgia. The combine comes, and I had a great combine, and that helped put me on the map. So after that combine, I went back to Atlanta and I trained for like another 2 weeks or so. I come back to Howard, and even then, you still have your pro day. Yeah. So this pro day is when scouts, coaches, they come to the campus and they watch you perform. I stood on my scores from the combine, and all I did was my defensive back position drills. I did that, and then even after the pro day, you have these teams that call and say, hey, I want to come up to Howard University and work you out. So it'll be a defensive coordinator or a DB coach, and they'll put you through a number of drills, see how you move, if you can catch, if you stiff. And I did a number of those. And then from there, you're able to go on different visits to these different teams. I went on one visit, and it was to the Indianapolis Colts. So that was dope. And then you have draft day. At that time, the draft was 2 days. So now you're sitting on pins and needles with your family and your friends and waiting on your name to get called. So that was kind of how the process was. It was nerve-wracking, very anxious, what's going to happen. But I really just sat back and
there seems like so many different anxious moment. I'm listening to you talk about hey, it's got to be this bowl game, and it's the pro day, and it's the combine, and then they're gonna work you out. And just from the outside looking in, that's regardless of what you've done previously, so much of your life kind of gets dictated in these 2 hours or these 4 hours or these, what I mean, like that. Like that's got to be crazy nerve-wracking.
It is, man. And then it's just like to your point, it's like, okay, I did these 4 years on film and I have this film, but then some people's like, okay, well, what did he do in this combine? What did he do here? You know what I mean? So, and then you got to think about it. You're 20 years old, you're 21 years old. So again, it is nerve-wracking. You haven't been down this path before. Some guys are luckier than others, being that you might have an uncle or cousin or brother or dad who went down this route, down this path, and kind of tell you how to navigate through it. But then for some, it's like, well, damn, this is my first time down this road. I'm just learning as it goes. But again, man, it teaches you a lot. It teaches you about yourself. That was something that I appreciated and took out of that whole ordeal.
I wanted to ask you, I don't know how much you've been following, but they started the HBCU Combine now to kind of build that rapport between HBCUs and the NFL. Like there weren't that many. I think there might have been 1 or 0 drafted in from HBCUs in the last draft. Very 0 to 10 that was drafted, undrafted free agents that were signed. What do you kind of think about how the NFL has tried to start building that relationship with the NFL?
I mean, I like it, but I think it shouldn't even have to come to that though, because it's players in it, in the HBCU ranks that are good enough that they should have gotten those invites. So I don't even think it should have came to a point where you got to do a HBCU Combine. But I do like it. Now it gives those guys exposure. You know what I mean? So now these scouts, these coaches, these front office execs can come and watch these guys. So I do love the fact that it gives these young men exposure to be able to go out there and show the higher ups as far as, you know, the league and the teams what they can do.
So you turn out to be a 6th round pick. You're from an HBCU. You head to camp. Do you ever waver with confidence? You know what I mean? Because, you know, you mentioned being able to play alongside these big time D1 prospects or whatever in this bowl game. But, you know, I know what it is to be from an HBCU and to rub shoulders with folks that went to these more prestigious sorts of universities, at least prestigious in certain people's eyes, right?
Right.
Does it waver with confidence, or was it had you garnered enough in your time at Howard to be like, nah, I can stand up with anybody, put me on this 100 yards and we Gucci?
Yeah, I never doubted myself. I always believed in my abilities. You know what I mean? But again, it was like, okay, let me see what this is about. You know what I mean? And from day one, man, I got out there and I was like, oh yeah, like this is where I belong. And I took that, because at the end of the day, all I wanted was an opportunity. Whether I got drafted, whether it was a free agent, just give me an opportunity and give me a chance. And I'm gonna do what I gotta do with it. And again, like I said, when I went out there and I was like, yeah, this is where I belong. And then once I started seeing and started working and going through the camps, I'm like, man, like we really got a bad rap out here. Like, I'm like, I know 3 or 4 guys on campus right now that can come out here and can play some great ball and could help this team. But just because we have our name and then beside our name, it says Howard University,
right,
people kind of look, I ain't gonna say kind of, they look down on that. Right. Versus if I did the same thing that I did at Howard, that I did at Ohio State, if I was at Ohio State, it would be a total different story. But never once did I waver, man. Never once did I blink an eye. I was like, you know, this is what I want. I'm gonna go get it. And, you know, I did it for 14 years with a chip on my shoulder.
It's funny. As you were talking, I saw your shirt with the "Believe in Yourself" like written on top of it. Like that's, I mean, there's a lot to be garnered from that. Just like, you know, just have that confidence in yourself and you know, put yourself, once you are put yourself in that situation, you've already done the work. Like believe in and stand on that and stand on what you've done. I want to ask about some of these highlights of your career. I followed you from pretty much from Jump Street because, I mean, you know, you from the crew. So like, obviously, talk to me about going to the Pro Bowl. Talk to me about winning the Super Bowl. Like, just talk to me about what that, you know, some of these highlights that you have in your head that you play back now that your career is done.
Man, it was one of the things like rookie year started, you know, 14 games. We go to the Super Bowl and we win. I'm like, wow, like I'm doing this my first year. I'm about to get 3 or 4 of these things. If I do this my first year, I know I'm gonna leave out this career. I'm gonna have like 3 or 4 at least. You know what I'm saying? You know how D Wade and LeBron was, like,
right? Not 3, not
4. So I'm like, yo, my rookie year, but it was just an amazing moment, just because it's like just last year, man, I'm sitting down with a coach who said I couldn't play in the league. You know what I mean? Like now I'm playing with future Hall of Famers, you know, not Ezra, but Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, you know what I mean? So it was just a moment, a surreal moment at the end of the day. And then year 2, you know, I make my first Pro Bowl. I'm like, who would have ever thought that? Like, you know, Antoine Bethea from Howard, year 1, you win a Super Bowl, year 2, you in the Pro Bowl. So those type of accomplishments were huge, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna say I took them for granted, but now that I'm out the game, it's like, yo, you got some of the greats that played this game that never made it to a Super Bowl, let alone win a Super Bowl. So to be able to say like I'm in that fraternity of a Super Bowl winner, it was amazing, man. So, you know, again, man, just being able to go to play in 2 Super Bowls, win 1, go to 3 Pro Bowls, and then, you know, I think the most important award that I feel as though that I received was being like named a 2-time Walter Payton Man of the Year award, where, you know, that's all about community work. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what we're doing on the field, you know, you got this platform. What type of impact what kind of impact do you have on other people? What type of impact do you have on the community? So for me, that was one of the most important accomplishments that I could have, you know what I'm saying, during my playing time. So again, man, I sit back and I'm like, man, I feel as though I did it right. You know what I'm saying?
How do you think that your time at Howard, either on field or off, kind of helped propel you to where you ended up being professionally? Like, whether it's, you know, the hustle you got, or I don't know, but like what was it about your time at Howard that you think there were, like, because you mentioned how much you're appreciative of your time there and how glad you were that you made that decision. Like, what was it about that you kind of took with you moving forward?
Man, you know how it is, man. I tell people all the time, like my freshman year, I stayed in Drew. You know, I ain't sleep under my covers until probably like October, November. No AC with the fan in the window. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
you know, I'm 5th floor, 539. He'd always rise his baby penthouse. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you know, it's like going to the A building. It's like, you know, I got classes. Like, nah, you about to be in this A building all day. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then, you know, we talk about like the facilities and no knock, but it's like our weight rooms in the basement of Cook. You know, like we don't need the glitz or the glamour. Like, these weights still got to get lifted. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the grit, it's the grind, but then it's also just being appreciative of what you have. You know what I mean? Walking on campus, and again, like, and this is one of the things that I always tell students, it's like, as a young black man, young black woman, this is one time in our life, like, we the majority.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So then even there, it's just like, now, you know, I got this culture, man, and I have this, feel like I have this responsibility of when I do leave, I got to represent the Mecca. You know what I mean? So again, man, it was just the grit, the grind, the progressiveness that you get when you on campus. You see everybody thrive, and you see young black men and young black women all trying to better themselves. You know what I'm saying? So whatever space you go into, and now I sit back and I love it, because I mean, wherever you look, somebody that went to Howard University got some impact on some, whether it's politically, whether it's on sports, whether it's on TV, acting, or whatever, or singing, or whatever it is. It's like, yo, that's what we come from. You know what I mean? So again, man, it's just, that's what I took from Howard, and I'm able to, I was able to project that into my NFL career, but now I'm able to, you know, instill those same values and, you know, my businesses, being an entrepreneur, being a philanthropist, and even, you know, being a father, being a husband. You know what I'm saying? So Howard taught me a lot just about me as a young black man.
Oh yeah, we always go shout each other out, and that's why we so annoying. I know we're annoying, but I don't care. But we ain't going nowhere. So I mean, you know what it is, what it was. You know what I mean? But talk to me a little bit more about your ventures. I know you have a podcast out with Darius Butler. Like, tell me a little bit more about what's going on with that.
Yeah, man. So it's the Man to Man podcast, man. We started that during the pandemic. Me and Darius, we were teammates in Indianapolis in Indy with the Colts for a few years, man. And again, this is in the title of the podcast. It is what it is. It's a man to man. You know, if you know football, we both were DBs, so one of the coverages is called man to man. And then just in life, as black men in this world, as fathers, entrepreneurs, again, as business, like we talk man to man about just different things, man. So again, that's been a great ride so far. Going into a world, the media world, that, you know, I never touched on, you know what I mean, as far as business wise. So being able to go in and find our way in the media world has been fun.
Well, look, as a guy that's been around the media world a little bit, I ain't made no Pro Bowls, but I mean, I've been around a little bit. I mean, welcome. You just found a new subscriber. I just subscribed today. I'm looking forward to it. So if you had, and I'll get you out here on this joint. If you had 30 seconds to a minute to talk to folks about the importance of giving to Howard's athletic program, what would you say to either young Bison, prospect Bison, folk, alumni, whomever, what would you say to them about the importance of it?
Man, it is very important. Now, we always talk about giving back to our community, right? We want to give back to our community. This is our community, our Howard community. At the end of the day, and I tell people who may have a sour taste of about Howard, whether they went there or whatever the case may be, I'm like, don't worry about your experience. Like, you're giving back to help another young man, a young woman about with their experience at Howard University. So take you out of the equation. You know what I'm saying? Again, like I just talked about in the philanthropy world, it's the impact. What type of impact are you having on people? And it could be $1, it could be $5, but you don't know what that $1, $5, or $10 can do for somebody. And you know, we all see it. We all can use help, and this could be you helping somebody else. So again, to future Bison, past Bison, or whoever, it's important, and they need the help. We need the help. So if you can put anything to give back to our home, as we say, got to do that.
Absolutely. BisonExpress.org. You can go there, toss some money. It's the red button. It's very simple. We made it very simple. Right now we have a fundraising drive to raise some money for vans to get athletes to and from competitions. Go on there. Please go on there. Help these young Bison out. Man, thank you. Where can we follow you on social media so we can hear more from you, bro?
Yeah, so on Instagram and Twitter, Bethea 41, Bethea 41 on IG and Twitter, man. Y'all can follow me. We have, you know, my man-to-man stuff, the podcast stuff, the philanthropy stuff I'm doing in the community, speaking engagements and all of that, man. So you can follow me there.
Bethea, so it's ABETHEA 31.
41.
41, my bad.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, man. I told you what it meant to me to be able to speak to you. So glad you were able to go on Bison Break. Y'all be easy. BisonExpress.org. Go donate. Help the next young Bethea out into where they're supposed to be. Y'all be easy. Thank you for spending some time with us.
No doubt.